Hey, welcome to the Woman Up podcast. My name is Natasha DG and I'm your host. Today we have our guest is called Caroline Thelemaque. She's known as the Supreme Gazelle. She's a trailblazer, unifier, entrepreneur, speaker, mentor, and philanthropist. She's known also as a mompreneur, a woman nurturer, a light seeker, and blissfully Epicurean garden lover. I am so thrilled to have you with us today, Caroline. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm happy to be here. And let's do it.
Yes, I've been in contact with you. Like we've been seeing each other for the past few months. And for
Mhm.
people who do not know you, please introduce yourself.
Well, I have to tell you that I removed the mompreneur part
Okay.
and my bio about um 20 and 2019 2019 when I decided that my not being a mom not being my priority because my
Yeah,
kids are my heart,
for
but
sure.
for the longest time they were my priority, and all my bio it started with mompreneur, because after I finished my corporate job decided to to start my business, but I started it from home from this office.
Right.
And for 10 years, tell people, I worked for 5 hours a day on my business, weekends a little bit more, and my priority were my kids. And that's why I always tell women, you can have everything, but you cannot have everything at the same time. So, but I also say 10 years, 5 hours, an average, that's a lot of years to grow your company. So that's why when I was ready to branch out and build my office, it was with a very light heart, because I knew I had given everything to my kids. My daughter had started CJEC. My son was already out of the house. So I'm like, okay, not mompreneur anymore. Mom, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
But the mom was not the first. Mom is always going to be the first. But my priority was to growing my business. So just
So what is it that you do? We know that you have the Gazelle clubs, le Club des
Mhm,
Gazelles. What
mhm.
is it about?
Okay, so Le Club Les Gazelles is, I want to give you a little backstory. Okay.
Sure.
I was born in Haiti. I grew up in the Congo, lived in the States for 2 years, and I got here at age 14. Olympics. I always remember that day because the day that Nadia Comaneci got her 10. So that's the day we came we arrived to Canada from New York. And as we're settling, my father told us two things. Your first husband is your diploma. And the second thing is that this is our last stop, and you need to go out there and meet people. You need to grow a network. So from age 14, I started building my network. You know, we got here in 1976, so um, the Haitian community wasn't that huge as it was now. And when we went to school, my sisters and I we were always the only Black girls, and class skiing and all this stuff, because my father really wanted us to embrace this country as our country.
For sure.
So going forward, I learned how to really um, get involved in school. As I grew older, politics, doing also a lot of volunteering. So I was able to grow a big network by doing that. So, and then what happened is that 2001, I'm pregnant with my daughter. I'm at home, bored to death, and I'm like, okay, it's because my pregnancy was a very difficult one. My boys were easy, but my daughter was. So I told myself, okay, I'm at home, so what am I gonna do? And I thought about putting together a club for Haitian women. And then when I started to talk to all my non-Haitian friends about my club, and they were like, what are you talking about? Your house is the United Nations. So how are you going to do that club
Nice. I love
without
it.
having us. And I'm like, I didn't think of that. So that's how I started building Club Les Gazelles. I really wanted to be a multicultural social club where women went to band together and create wealth. Because for me, wealth, it's not about the money that you have in your bank account. It's about your network. Because they always say the network is your network is your net worth. And I am a testament to that. You know, like I say, I'm an ordinary Haitian woman who wanted to build an extraordinary life for herself. And I got to do that through my network, by being involved in my children's school. We put them in, what you call prep schools. So all the movers and shakers were there. And then we're like, we're paying all that money. I better get involved and befriend these people. So I was, in comedies and on their, when it comes to fundraising, I was a black belt in fundraising, raised a lot of money for those schools. And that's why I built my network. So I wanted to put all that knowledge at the service of the women from multicultural backgrounds. So essentially, the Club Les Gazelles is a private social club where women band together to get out of isolation. S'épanouir. How do you say s'épanouir in English?
My God, that's a good
It's a good word, s'épanouir.
I usually that's a word that I can't translate in French.
Yeah, so okay, live their best lives. We're gonna borrow from Oprah. Because I aspire to be Quebec's Oprah. So we're gonna borrow her. Live their best life and create wealth by helping each other, by being each other's leverage. So at the end of the day, whatever we want to do, we get it with our network. You know what I mean? So fast forward now, we're already in the Cameroon. We want to open Côte d'Ivoire this year.
Wow, congratulations.
And that's what we're doing. And 2019, we opened the Dream Incubator, which is a co-working space. And our motto is live, love, learn, and laugh. And that's what we do. That's what we do. We support each other. We open doors for each other. Basically, like I tell people when they come to me with all sorts of, because everybody wants a part of you when you're doing something, And I always tell them, I only work with my members. I open doors for my members. And like I always say, that I always say in our mastermind, you got to pay to play. You know what I mean? Yeah,
totally.
You're paying to play right now with the mastermind that we have together.
Definitely, yeah.
And I know, like me, this is the best investment we've ever done.
For sure.
So I tell people, listen, it's a private club. It's not a OSBL. Everybody's telling me, why aren't you a nonprofit? And I'm like, no, we don't. I do not want us to be a nonprofit because they're always looking for us as immigrants, especially Black people, to do our business like nonprofits. You know what I mean? So I want to be the equivalent of what you have in the United States, those private clubs, with a private clubhouse. I don't have a clubhouse yet, but I have my Dream Incubator where people go and wheel and deal and, help each other, open doors for each other. And this is basically what we are.
Caroline, there's nothing ordinary about what you just said. So how can you define yourself as ordinary?
I am ordinary in the sense that I come from a Haitian family. My parents were educated, so we were more in the bourgeoisie. And I definitely don't think there's anything really special about me. Okay. What I think there is about me is that I understood the lesson that my parents gave us, which was to always strive to be the best, to never be in competition to nobody but to ourselves, and to go out there and, you know, and start climbing the highest mountain that we can. And that's what I live by. That's what I've taught my kids. My kids are killers.
Of course.
They're like their mama. They're like
That's what I was gonna say. Is there? How
they
could it
like
not?
to win, honey. You know about my son, my daughter. I don't talk a lot about her because she's shy. But you know, this woman is studying to be a software engineer. She has her own nonprofits. She has a job, and she has a huge, you know, a huge comment je pourrais dire ça? Un clan, un clan, c'est quoi un clan en anglais?
A clan, a gang, or
A
a
huge gang of
circle?
friends that are high achievers also.
That's
And
amazing.
like I always say, it takes the same effort to do small or to do big. Small makes me want to sleep. I like to be excited.
You're a trailblazer. That's what it was saying. Listen, when I think of every time I think you come to my mind, Caroline, it's always the network. You always talk about network very often, quite often. And how can you tell us uh about well, to the listeners, the power of having a network, and how were you able to go get to build your network?
Okay, the power of having a network is whatever you need, you take your phone, you call somebody, and it can open a door for you. There are places that I have been that I would never have been without my network. You know what I mean? So I did about 12 years of active politics. At some point, I thought I would go into politics. I had been offered a
Wow.
riding. Yeah. I had been offered VO, and I would have won. You know. So, but my kids were too young, and I didn't want to leave my kids behind and be in Quebec. And you know, my husband is a typical Haitian dad. You know, he loves his kid. He will take care of them, but he needs the mama with him.
For
If I
sure.
had left those kids with that man, there would be trouble. Doesn't mean that he's a bad dad. He's not a bad dad, but he could not be the primary caretaker. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, and also, for me, my biggest job in life is raising my children. You know, even if my children are adults now, they know that I am there for them. They can always they can call me. They still fear me a bit.
Yeah, you have to.
They still fear me a bit.
My mom would have been agreeing with you. She would
Yeah.
agree with you.
And then for me, they're the most important thing. But after you finish raising them, it's time for you. And that's what I'm doing. So that network, I build them by being involved, because a lot of people, they don't understand the power of giving your time for causes. You know, I mean, you don't have to do politics. Even in this ecosystem of the school system, you can make a difference.
Totally.
You know, that's what I did, you know, with my children's school. You know, politics is the same thing. Getting involved in some of my friends' projects, you know. So, and also saying yes, you know. I'm approached a lot. I'm very busy, but if there's a cause or there's a project that appeals to me, I will take the time to do it. And I've never regretted it. Never, ever regretted it. Because every time I got involved in something, it opened the door for me. I'm going to give you an example. I'm the vice president of Ladyboss Montreal, and I've known Gemma Rayburn-Bain since she met me in my 30s. And I'm going to tell you how she met me, because this story is very important, because I want people to understand that being generous always pays. Because there was a part of my life where I had Les Diffusions Galaxa. It was a company that really showcased Black art and culture. I had it for about 5 years. So I had about 30 painters that I represent. That's why I have you see a lot of paintings. I have an
Mm-hmm.
extensive art collection because I buy it for us, but that's my kids' legacy because some of my paintings are worth a lot. And I went to buy a painting from an artist, and I saw all these paintings and his atelier, and I was like, oh my God. And I decided, I have a lot of my cousins in the States that are kind of rich, and they were buying houses. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
So I started representing those artists, presenting them um, to my cousins. And then fast forward 2 or 3 years into the business, at that time, I was relationniste pour la table ronde du mois de l'histoire des Noirs. And for the end of the month gala, they asked me to do an exhibition with my art. So we did the exhibition. The artists were there, and this woman that I didn't know from nowhere, beautiful Black woman, she was with her husband, and she was in front of a painting that she loved. And she said, Bernard, I would love to have the painting. And he's like, because it was about $600. So she gave me her card and she said, she took mine. She said, I would like to meet you. So a week later, I called her, and I'm like, maybe she's not even going to remember me. And she did. Called me, invited me to her house for supper with my partner of the time, who sadly died about 10 years ago. So I called the artist and I said, I'm going to buy the painting. So I bought it at my price, because usually what I used to do, I asked me, okay, you want this paint? How much do you want for this painting? And they would tell me, and I put my price. So I go to see her and I bring her the painting. To this day, the painting is the same place that I gave her 30 years ago.
Wow.
So now we have supper, and she tells me, for Black History Month next year, I want you to have an exhibition at the Bank of Montreal, because she was the director of diversity and equity at BMO.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, for about 4 years, every Black History Month, my artists were showcased at the Bank of Montreal on Saint Jacques for 4 years. And
Wow.
then I remained friends with her, helped her with a lot of her projects. And 2 years ago, she asked me to be part of her board as vice president. And we've been doing a lot. Now we are giving bursaries to kids. So last Friday was the graduation. So we give 4 bursaries of $1,500 to kids that were going from high schools to CJEB. But we don't just give the burst. We also have the Circle of Excellence, where every 2 months we have an event where we have keynote speakers. They have mentors. Gemma is a specialist in etiquette, so she gives them etiquette course. So just one painting, I invested $300 because the painting was $600, and I got myself a friendship that lasts a lifetime. She made me CEO of Montreal Caribbean Fashion Week, and she has opened so many doors for me. And 2 weeks ago, we went to the Bank of Montreal because she had something to do. And people still remember me from the art exhibit, just to tell you. You know what
What
I
an
mean?
ROI.
So that's what I tell people. People say, 300. I'm like, I don't know. She liked it. I could afford it. Pay the $300, give it to her. And her husband call it because it's a beautiful woman. And he's like, oh, that's my girlfriend. He calls the painting his girlfriend. So yeah, I'm telling you this story because I want people to understand that sometimes little investment can go a long way. How was I gonna go and have my exhibit at the siège social of the Bank of Montreal?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very close to the people from the Bank of Montreal too, because over the year, after Gemma took her retirement, They still fund us for our projects. And she still works for them, not in a regular capacity, but every time they need to do something in the Black community, she's part of the people that they sit with and brainstorm with. So I get to be part of that.
Yeah, I like that. Caroline,
Yes.
I'm not sure if we could talk about it, but what are your next projects? What are you currently working on, and what are your next projects? Because you have a lot of projects that are worth, and this is only for my listeners, that are worth millions. But yes.
Well, I have to tell you that the pandemic was very, very difficult for me because I had just spent over $50,000 to renovate my office space. So we opened on the 31st of May 2019 and we were closed on the 13th of March.
Yeah.
For 2 years and a half. I couldn't have PCU because of all the investments. So my income tax was in the minus.
Right.
And for 2 years and a half, I had to struggle I did get a bit of the subvention pour le loyer and stuff like that, but it was not enough. And also I lost about 75% of my members.
Wow.
Yeah. So right now I'm rebuilding. I want to get back to my 100 members before pandemics. And the way I'm doing that, I'm networking a lot. And God has been very, very nice to me because I've been meeting amazing women that are signing to become members. I don't know why, but they seem to, every time we have an event, like yesterday we had our tea and conversation event at the Dream Incubator. And one was like, I like this too much. And I'm like, okay, so where do I sign? And I'm like, I can send you my a link online. She's like, no, I want to start now.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, I do have paper. I'm like, I do have a formulaire d'adhésion paper. But I'm like, my youngest told me that no paper. She's like, well, paper. So I bought the paper. She started to interact. So this is the most important thing for me right now. Secondly, because of you and your big mouth, I'm working on that book. I would like in the next, that's my phone. I would like in the next 2 months. Do you hear the phone?
Your phone?
Yeah, do you hear it? Okay.
No.
So I would like in the next 2 months to be at least halfway done with one book, because there's 3 books in the making.
You see, I haven't snitched on you about that. I only said privately to our mentor about one book. I didn't even say 3 books. So I'm happy that you put it out there yourself.
But you can't talk about it.
Nope. I'm done. I did what I did, and that's it. I'm over.
You like my daughter. I said what I said, mama.
Exactly. And I'm done. It's fine.
So yeah. So we're gonna come with the first book. I'm working on that. The book is important to me. I'm going to Africa at the end of the year.
Wow.
I've been invited by the REFA, les réseaux des entrepreneurs femmes africaines. So they have their general assembly in November. So I'm going to be moderating a panel, but I'm traveling with some of my members, and I'm also going to Ghana. That's where that's where I want to retire. But also, I have gardening is one of my passion. I talk so much about it, and I met online a young agronomist that has a project that is called Kidsfield. And what he does, he goes to the villages and he teach the kids how to grow big community gardens. And half of the crop goes to feed the village, and the rest goes to be sold. And with the money, build schools and libraries with the kids. So it's $1,000 US to sponsor a garden, and I want to go and sponsor a garden when I go there. So I'll have a reason to return often to see how the Gazelle sponsored garden is going.
That's
So
amazing. That's amazing, Carolyn. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wrap it up, but I want to ask you this last question. Because now you're investing your time in all those projects. You're very passionate, you're very driven, ambitious, and that's something that I very that inspires me as well. And I wanted to ask you, what is the one thing that you want people, what is your legacy? What do you want people to remember of you?
Well, let's see. Rassembleuse, how do you say that in English?
Someone who brings people together.
Yeah, I want to be known as someone that brings people together. My dream would be to have 1 million women by the time I leave this earth, to have 1 million women around the world, all connected, that are changing paradigms, because I truly believe that the change that we want to see in this world will come by women. But if we want to have those changes, we have to be in places of power.
Yes.
One of the things that I want to do, I want to bring one of my gazelles to the Canadian Parliament. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to do politics. I have too much of a big mouth. When I can't. Like if I was with Legault and he was saying there was no systemic racism, I would be rushing to his office to tear him a new AH.
Yeah, for sure. I mean? Me too. I have a big mouth.
I can't. But for the longest time, I thought I would. But when I know the kind of person that I have, I cannot take the bull crap. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think as a collective, we can band together and finance one of our finest to get there. And then, we just send her our dossiers, what we want her to be fighting for. And for me, ultimate power would be that. Ultimate power is to see that collectively we were able to put several women in position of power where they can change paradigms, make decisions for the next generation. So when we do leave this earth, we know that we've left it better than when we were there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, that would be that, and food security. My second thing is food security. I cannot fathom somebody waking up and opening their fridge and there's no food to eat and feed their kids. And that's why, I created Libellule Coccinelle, my container kitchen garden program, to show people you don't need land to garden. You can grow food and feed your family in your little balcony. And so yeah, this is more.
Caroline, thank you. I cannot thank you enough for your presence today. I know your time is precious and you have a lot on your hands and a lot on your shoulders. And I'm very blessed and privileged to have you, and honored for sure to have you on this podcast. And I'm hoping I can have you back another time.
Yes, anytime. I like to do this kind of thing because I think that when you have a voice, it's important to share.
For sure.
Yeah.
Ladies, this is a wrap. You've been listening to the Woman Up podcast. Your guest was Caroline Thelemaque. If you need coaching for your public speaking, you can reach me. Until then, Woman Up.